Back to the show. So today we're talking about Penal Code 1872. Penal Code 1872 covers a lot of topics and a lot of particular things and certain explanations and reasons and definitions and vocabulary for the most part. So, what that basically means in the short version, long story short, or to summarize or overall, is that the negligence, the idiocy, the smack upside the head of contributing or configuring these factors of none. Need some water? The configuring contractors of sorting all these different things that has happened throughout the course of time from the beginning of time to now. So, as I said before, the language arts of the standardized composition of word choice of the narrative of explaining a factor of speaking in clear English and using specific, not specific, specific words shows the factor that without me using a witness and basically saying the cause of the interest of why we are in the situation that we are in right now, since I'm not using my witness, or if I have a second witness to conclude the final conclusion of the actual reason of why we are in the situation that we're in right now, then that means this whole entire case gets thrown out. So nobody wins anything from this matter. What? What is it? Wait. Rephrase that. Everything in that section article, in that paragraph, from the top down to the bottom, what it basically said and what it meant, that through the factor of all these different things, the livestock, the police officers, everyday civilians, businesses, livestock, the vessel of boats, the composition of language, the Pledge of Allegiance, everything that consists of transportation of business, everything that consists of the currency of money, everything that consists of breaking the law, okay? Everything that consists of doing things out of misconduct or going against the grain to prove your innocence without a shadow of a doubt, pleading the fifth, all the amendments, everything of everything. Not guilty, guilty, no contest, a court of law, subpoenas, you understand? U.S. Treasury, House of Representatives, the legislative branch, executive branch, judicial branch, all 50 states, everyday people, the business of the signed contract that transport everyday businesses in order to go to another location from point A to point B so that the foundation of a city can fulfill their everyday purpose of their natural resources in order to do what they need to do, regardless if it was damaged, regardless if it was under the conspiracy of the thought of interest, regardless of the fact of race, gender, discrimination, regardless of binary, non-binary, and also with the factor of the A through G requirements of the institution of the high school or college. It also consists of the factor of interest that if your life is, for the most part, if you're under attack or people are causing serious body injury to you, or if you feel that your world is coming to an end, or you feel as if people are out to get you, or someone is plotting on you, or if there was a misunderstanding, or there was misguided information, or if there was sentence grammar, okay? If there was sentence grammar that was not properly correct or quoted, then those factors will have to be met with a respectful interest according to the proclamation of the law, to show that you have to explain these things under these penal codes of this matter. So majority of the time, average everyday people read the book of law of the state that they are in. So when you go to a court of law and you're pleading your case, oh, Your Honor, I'm innocent, I'm not guilty. And let's say you don't want to say something to incriminate yourself because your lawyer is supposed to speak on your behalf. But when you have to defend your lawyer, when you have to defend animal rights, when you have to defend the congregation of your community and the diversity, regardless if you have proper documentation of paperwork, so that means if you need a visa or don't need a visa, all the factors of all interests of how business goes. So that means being paid under the table. That means being paid properly with a paycheck where you can go cash your check with your ID and show your social security card for the most part. So when it comes to the factor of business, of public property, of the interest, of the negligence, the idiocy, you really expect for me to believe this. I'm supposed to believe without a shadow of a doubt of everything that I have saw and everything that was based on these terms of situation and investigations, going to jail, getting out of jail, classes for rehabilitation of anger management, everything of everything. And let's not forget the everyday people that decided to put their own selves in this situation to contribute a factor of the interest simply because they do not believe that the factor of the language arts of what this man is speaking and how he's talking is a presumed wannabe character that's a whack job, that's not actually who he is. So since the audience of the everyday congregation of this side of the town and this side of the town has no interest of proclamation or key witness to the emotion of fact to show a signature guaranteed handwritten by two witnesses, including you and including you, to say this is who he is, guaranteed, you will also have to back up and show an interest in a court of law to show that, yes, okay, I read your statement. Even if I agree with it or not, what other evidence do you have besides a piece of paper with your signature at the bottom to show that this individual right here, the plaintiff, is actually not who he appears to be? Now, accidents happen, mistaken identity, especially when history tends to repeat itself for the most part if you're African American, Other than that, when you are the plaintiff and you have to use the same penal codes as well to justify the action of using certain tools or instruments or firearms or the plot thought of a theory to use one or two people in order to gain information. So if you move one person to another side of the room that doesn't want to do the following activity, that would be considered kidnapping. So when you rack up all these charges from the tippity top all the way down, right? If I decided not to show my witness and I decided not to write a confession or a testimony value or a signature of docketing that says these are the actual legit reasons of why I have done the things I have done in my life, with the situation of the unspoken conversation of the unknown. What will end up happening is I will have to show evidence. That means I will have to get a subpoena to bring people into a court of law, and I will have to, call on some very prestigiously interesting people. But due to the fact that the situation that we're in and how everything is going, so that means if you have the same thing that I have and I have the same thing that you have, what do we have? Your two witnesses, your signature, your true testimony to a true factor of this universal parallel cosmic diagram of why we are here today for the total grand slam of the interest of the man of the hour. If you're not going to provide your evidence and the verdict rests its case, and the judge looks over and says, okay, what's your standpoint of how would you like to proceed going forward with the motion? And if I'm going to have to represent the state of all 50 states, plus the colonies, and plus the livestock and business and the employers of other businesses of other people, that would show the interest of a good Samaritan being a public figure in naturally pleading his case without the interest of being paid or being put up to the thought of, well, someone told me to do this or this and this, and if it wasn't for this or these meddling kids, I wouldn't be here. This is not Scooby-Doo. But what I'm saying, Your Honor, is basically with everything that's going on, nobody wants to get involved into this. And this miscommunication. Because that will require a lot of jail time. That will also require people getting felonies. That will also require that other people will have to come forward and testify against other people. And due to the fact that everything that is happening in the world today, trust issues, software technology, new robots, and how everything else is going on in the world, there seems to be some power struggle also with the gentrification of male and female for the most part. But we're also entitled by the First Amendment to have freedom of speech. Sure. So, your two witnesses, your signature with an actual pen or pencil to write a full out story of all your evidence, subpoena people to testify against, well, how are you going to, I don't know, for the most part, how are you going to testify against your own organization? Because that would mean a cross-examination of your decorated officers. That will also mean the interest of subpoena of calling people from Washington. So that means I can file a subpoena to say, well, I want this person to show up for court. I want this person to show up for court, regardless of ranks, titles, and most importantly, even if you're an everyday person, if you get the subpoena, you get the subpoena. And everybody knows you can duck and dodge a subpoena for the most part, because if you get served until that person drops it on your foot or hands it to you, other than that, you are not a potential suspect. And with everything else that's going on in the world right now, to get to a series of matters of events when it comes to livestock, when it comes to business, when it comes to the factor of interest, are there other things that played out to create something that's going on, of distribution, of selling something under the table without the practice of an operating everyday license. And due to the fact of my security awards and my achievements, and that there's a current investigation going on, I'm still able to act and use my security forces of using what the company offered me to defend myself in this matter of observe and report. But due to the fact that I am not employed within the security officer of, how you say, I don't work for an organization or headquarters, and I don't work for you, 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 I don't work for you. What we have is, we don't know who this guy is. And what we have is a man who has some psychological issues for the most part. So, from my understanding, looking at this whole entire situation and just based off the penal codes and what it has to offer, you don't believe who I am when I'm nice, respectful, humble, good morning, good afternoon, how are you? Well, I'm just an everyday nice person for the most part, and, nice to meet you. Nah, I don't believe that. So then, as I go through life, and, life has had its moments, we had some good times, we had some bad times. Now, of the factor of the interest of seeing the opposite side of the psychology, that will basically mean that America is racist. To the theory of believing that, can there be a possibility that He's a terrorist. He's a monster. He's a criminal. He's all these other things. Remember, you're under oath. I understand. What does that play out when you have all these allegations and rumors against you and nobody files not one piece of paper? Everything was done on a cell phone. So $235 plus $65, maybe around $330 or somewhere around there. My math is kind of off, but you get it for the most part. You was defeated by a nerd, a disabled person, a mental health issue guy. You was defeated by a man with a high school diploma. But that's how you look at it. And you're entitled to think how you want to think, because this is a free country. You know what I'm saying? So with everything that has been tied into this whole entire situation, the fact that I don't need to show my second witness to verify or back up who I am and my everyday situation, because everyday people are nosy for the most part, and most people are just rude naturally because everybody wants to be number one, everybody has an opinion, everybody wants to know the truth, and nobody wants to be lied to or manipulated. So if we have everyday people that are, I don't know, for the most part, what's the word I'm looking for? If we have everyday people that are assuming that a guy is not who he appears to be, then I could just subpoena the whole entire state of California. I can subpoena whoever I like just as well, and we all can just go to court, and we can go to court with the officers, we can go to court with the FBI, we can go to court with the CIA, we can go to court with the U.S. Treasury, we can go to court with the Pentagon, and we can call some of the most highest rank and most decorated officers of all time and some of the great Samaritan of everyday great people who makes this city be all that it can be, and solve all our differences and write everything on a piece of paper. And your witness says, well, I saw this and I saw this. And then your witness says, well, this means this, this means this. So how does that play out in a court of law? Well, if it goes to trial for the most part, then, oh, that's right. People don't like cops. People don't like lawyers. People don't want to take time off of work to do jury duty. People who thought this was this, didn't know what really was going on. Sorry, for the most part. Okay. Then you have the interest of people who takes a risk simply because something happened in a completely different other state, which had nothing to do with them going forward, but with probable cause and conspiracy, if your names are tied into this at all, then that plays an interest as well. But since that's not the case as well, what we have is a guy who is getting pushed around by life. So the negligence and the idiocy and the fact that he is going through whatever he's going through to figure out the truth about his life, regardless what preceding caution matters of interest of what he has to do in order to save the day. So if a law enforcement officer was not affected in this matter, then that's ruled out. So what we basically have is that within that penal code of those limitations of those laws, it shows that everybody will have to take out a pen, a piece of paper, and write the true soul testimony of conviction of the actual truth. Not one syllable, not one apostrophe, not one punctuation, and not one messed up sentence grammar where you can read it to a court of law in front of everybody and say, I such and such, and put your hand on the Bible, solemnly swear that the information that is provided is the actual truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. But as long as you show some remorse for your actions and you explain into an interest of a factor, putting your best foot forward, that stands for something. So we're not looking at savages. We're not looking at Neanderthals. We're not looking at niggas. We're not looking at the racial ebonics of the discrimination of terms, of words, of degrading people, or should I say Caucasian people, or white people, quote unquote. That's not the factor of the interest in this. The factor of the interest in this is, the question is, who's this guy? So under that penal code, if you don't believe that he's a nice, good Samaritan, everyday good person, he has the right to sue the state. He has the right to sue the medical operation practitioners that operated on him. He has the right to sue the people who built the cars. He has the right to sue the food department people. He has every right to do the same thing or the same things that you guys do. But once you come to a clearer, simple understanding of, oh, that's what that means. Oh, okay. And then by the time you play it out and redo the math and rethink it, what comes to the factor of the music, the songs, so DC, Marvel, hip hop culture, the NBA teams, the NFL, law enforcement, and everything that the United States stands for with the eagle, the snake, all 50 stars, the American flag, everything tied up to one big factor in the palm of your hands. What do we get? What we get is America could testify against itself, or they could all gang up on one person and say, you are the problem. You are this, and this. And based on our witnesses, you are the overall reason why all this is happening. But when things are explained, when people are subpoenaed, and when the tables turn around on you, and this is not a threat, this is not reverse psychology, this is not putting you in a situation where I feel like you guys are ganging up on me. That's not what that is. It's not about left or right. This is just about the interest of making you feel as natural as possible. What it plays out and what it shows is that everything that was created was electronic. And since the music and everything was created electronically and nothing was written down, for the most part, signed with a signature of my signature, all that evidence is invalid. All that evidence won't stand up in a court of law. And all that evidence will also show the factor of the interest that, for the most part, he's just doing what everybody else do. Now, some people have reputations. Some people work with very prestigiously people and business owners and stockholders and, all these other things. So that factor also plays out of, you can run a business, anyone can start a business, but how do you handle the legal aspects of the business? If all the penal codes and law of order is different in every different state, then it's the same definition with the same penal code that's vice versa changed around of a different format depending on what state that you're in. You just have to pick up a law book and read what does the state require based off the book that your law of the requiring government that you're going to. So if you're going to this courthouse in this state, you can ask which law book is provided of the interest that is presented in a matter to help your case. And they have to appoint of an interest of a thought to say, this is the format that we have to use. Most people don't know that. So while you all plead guilty or you decide to say no contest, which also means the factor that you have some involvement in the matter, which I believe no one should plead no contest. You're all innocent. I'm innocent. One giant miscommunication. So other than that, I'm innocent. Now going forward with what if you decide to, I don't know, create these whatever I think or assume that you are doing of a confidential matter for the most part. Well, if we decide to go with that route, or me, let me rephrase because I have to speak properly. If I decide to go back to doing the same exact thing that started all of this, that's right, I'm not the one that started all of this. But due to the fact of the situation that we're in, it's not about he say, she say. What it's about is the interest of thought that you are all potential suspects in this matter. So your name came up on the list, 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 your name came up on the list. All your names came up on the list. But due to the fact that I have not signed anything of a signature within this matter of the situation, that's not artificial intelligence, because a name will be language. It will show intelligence that you can write your name. And if you put the time and the date and you stamp it, well, depending on the time, that will show that you have probable cause of interest into creating this situation that we're in. So what you have is somebody that wanted to participate with his own culture and also mixed diversity of cultures of, I believe it's called hip hop music, jazz, R&B, rock and roll, dancing. Well, his resume is impressive. He done a lot of different things as a public figure. What that overall shows is that since there's no, big things to worry about for the most part, I believe everybody got on the wrong foot. And I believe everybody was misguided based on the ebonics of not pronouncing your E's and your R's of language arts. Would that be considered plagiarism? No. It will be a rough draft because that would be the finalize of the copy. And due to the creation of content in today's time, you're able to take songs and videos and create your own content. Now, if you're just not going to be respectful and you're just going to take somebody's name and their brand and their image and just create whatever you want to create for however you want to look at it, then you wouldn't be the first person in history. So that means all the fans, that would mean all the people who made up these stories, all the people who lied on you guys, all the people who created these rumors and stuff based on their First Amendment, or even if they did it out of spite, or even if they're not medically, up there for the most part, what's going to happen is you will have to charge the federal government for the description of the rumors that was laid against you. And we know how that goes for the most part. So going forward in this situation, it was just one giant misunderstanding. So everybody's innocent in this whole entire situation. You're innocent, 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 you're innocent. So I don't think anybody's going to testify against anybody. I don't believe anybody has any deep testimony of, I don't know, for the most part. I don't think it's to the factor of concluding what also happened to our dear great President Donald J. Trump, which is very unfortunate. I hope him a positive, speedy recovery of the things that he went through in, his life of his campaign, and also to our other decorated officers who protect and serve this great country for the everyday people to do the freely things that they do. That will basically show that language arts and standardized conversation and talking to somebody in a very nice, calm, respectful manner will show a simple, basic understanding. So if people have a hearing problem, if people don't read a lot of books, if you don't really socialize with a lot of people, it's going to be very hard to articulate your words. So if we stop playing detectives and assassins and ninjas and cowboys and Indians and, we get out the theatrical, playtime, we got to turn off play and we got to go back to being adults and be serious for the most part, then we will all realize that none of us cannot afford $1 trillion project. None of us has the capability to going to the bank and withdrawing a check or getting a loan from the bank to pay off $1 trillion enterprise. Do you have $1 trillion? Do you have $1 trillion? Or are you a trillionaire? Well, I know the answer to that. But here we are. So, the most and the best that we can do, if you have nothing to do with the matter of this situation, then there's the door. you can leave. You can use it. As for going forward of bringing these things up or re-talking about it, I don't think it'll be wise for anybody to bring up back these situations for the most part. Also, I will say for the miscommunication to the public and to everyday people and the allegations and just the, viewer discretion advised of certain people's reputations, I will say that on the behalf of the United States of America, we are deeply sorry that you guys had to go through these things. And hopefully that your employers, your family, business propositions, administrations of the institutions that you guys are establishing or applying for and moving forward to will be courteous enough to exclude or forgive or just verify, just to know that everybody for the most part is innocent. And it was a very difficult conclusion of a misunderstanding. So that does not mean America's racist. That does not mean you are the enemy. That does not mean these people working against you or you're working against them. That does not mean this is black on black crime. This does not mean that the police are working on a secret operation. This is not reading between the lines. This is strictly telling you straight to everybody's face of explaining everything that we have seen on the TV, on a broadcast system of international news. That the bigger picture to this is just everyday people trying to get along for the most part. Are we a little rowdy and a little rough? Yes. Are we gentlemen? Yes, we are. Are you guys ladies and women? Correct. Yes, you are. So other than that, we have to respect one another. We have to get along for the most part. And if you choose not to deal or interest in the participation of, someone else, the least you can do is respect their privacy and not hinder them or make their lives difficult than what it is. No further questions. Well, after everything that I just heard, I would completely agree with you. So if you have pending court cases that has altered your approval of moving forward to reducing your sentence or to, I would say for the most part, made your case a lot more difficult if these things were presented to you of a simple investigation of probable cause. You can appeal that. And I believe a judge or an attorney or a lawyer will find it highly favorable of the courtesy of thank you. You're welcome. As for everybody and everyday people, have a nice day. God bless you. God bless America. And remember, Jesus loves you.